Okay, so let's try and unpack this a bit. It seems kind of strange, right? How could a brass instrument, specifically a trumpet, known for that bright, cutting sound,
Yeah.
how could that be the spark, the inspiration for one of the most iconic, maybe the most expressive guitar effects ever? Sounds like a bit of a musical riddle.
It absolutely does. And, that unexpected link, it's actually the perfect way to start our deep dive today. We are plunging right into the really fascinating story of the Vox Clyde McCoy wah-wah pedal.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're kind of cutting straight to the good stuff. We're using a really detailed source. Excerpts from Vox Clyde McCoy Wawa, an exhaustive history.
Sure.
So think of this as your shortcut, yeah? A way to really get how this legendary effect came about.
Exactly. Our mission here really is to give you a solid understanding of how the wah pedal was born, what makes that unique sort of vocal sound.
Uh-huh.
It's an incredible journey through rock history and, well, why it's still such a legend. You'll walk away with some surprising facts, those aha moments you want, but without getting totally buried in technical details.
Okay, great. So let's kick things off with those origins because they are surprising. The Vox Clyde McCoy wah-wah. It was one of the very, very first wah pedals, right?
Right.
Hitting the scene around 1967.
That's it. Launched by the Thomas Organ Company. They were the U.S. distributors for Vox back then.
And the name
Yeah.
came straight from Clyde McCoy, the jazz trumpet player.
Directly from him. And what's really insightful here, I think, is how this wasn't just about the tech. It was also a masterclass in early music product marketing.
Mm-hmm.
See, McCoy was famous for this signature wah-wah mute technique on his trumpet. It had this captivating sound.
Uh-huh.
And it directly inspired engineers to think, hey, could we get that same kind of vocal expressive thing
Mm-hmm.
electronically for guitar? So by linking the pedal directly to Clyde McCoy's famous sound, Thomas Organ wasn't just selling a new effect box. They were selling a familiar idea of expression. It made this totally new concept, shaping your guitar tone this way. Instantly recognizable, desirable. Even though McCoy himself,
Yeah.
well, he didn't have much direct involvement beyond licensing his name.
So the goal was really capturing that specific vocal nuance, and
Yeah.
clearly it clicked with guitar players, but translating a trumpet's wah electronically, that must have been challenging. What was the secret sauce? What was under the hood making that sound so revolutionary?
Okay, so the core of that Clyde McCoy wah sound, it was mainly down to the circuit design. It used an inductor-based filter, and the really critical part, especially in those early models, was the now famous halo inductor.
Mm-hmm.
That component, that was really the heart of its sound. Its unique design, the specific way it was wound. It just gave the wah this incredibly rich, almost organic resonance, and that distinct, nearly human vocal quality in its sweep. It was genuinely revolutionary for guitarists at the time. Nothing else sounded quite like it.
The halo inductor. Yeah, you hear that term a lot with vintage wahs. What made that specific part so, I don't know, so sought after, almost like pure gold in the gear world? And was there anything else contributing to that specific voice?
Yeah, beyond the halo, they used a custom tapered potentiometer. So think of like a volume knob, but instead of just a straight linear change.
Right.
This one was designed really precisely to control the frequency sweep in a way that mimicked how a voice or that muted trumpet would change pitch kind of non-linearly. It made the sweep feel incredibly natural under your foot. Very expressive.
Oh.
Then for amplification, those early Clyde McCoys used BC109B transistors, or similar ones known for being low noise. Kept the signal clean. And crucially for the purists, they had true mechanical bypass.
Ah, okay. Not just a buzzword then.
Not at all. It meant when the pedal was off, your guitar signal literally went around the whole circuit. No signal degradation, no tone suck. Cheaper designs often cut corners there, so this was a real mark of quality of sonic integrity.
So it really wasn't just about one magic component, but how they were all carefully engineered and put together.
Yeah.
What did that actually sound like when you stepped on it? What was the tone?
The result was this really wide frequency sweep, but with a very distinct, very vocal peak right in the mid-range. Had a nice warm low end, gave somebody, and then this smooth high end, almost like a cry that made solos really sing. And maybe most importantly, it was incredibly responsive to your picking dynamics, how hard you hit the strings, rolling back the guitar's volume knob.
Yeah.
It changed the wah effect. That made it an extraordinarily expressive tool. That responsiveness, that was a total game changer.
That responsiveness. Wow, yeah, that must have felt revolutionary back then. How did the pedal itself evolve? Once it was out there, were there different versions, iterations?
Oh, definitely. The absolute first ones, the first edition, made between 67 and 68 roughly. Those are often called the picture wah.
Picture wah. Why?
because they literally had Clyde McCoy's picture on the decal on the bottom plate.
No kidding.
Yep. And these early ones, they typically had those prized halo inductors, the carbon comp resistors, good quality pots, the whole package. They were actually manufactured over in Italy by EME, then shipped to the U.S. for Thomas Organ to distribute.
Gotcha. So if you spot a picture wall, you know it's one of those originals, the really sought-after ones. What came next?
Well, as the late 60s rolled into the early 70s, they dropped the picture decal. It was replaced by just a plain script logo plate saying Clyde McCoy.
Mm.
And there were also gradual changes happening inside different inductors sourced sometimes, slight tweaks to component values, which led to subtle tonal differences between pedals, even from the same rough period.
Right, the usual manufacturing variations.
Exactly. And then eventually, the Clyde McCoy branding itself was phased out altogether. Vox Was just became generic Vox wah-wah models, though, that core circuit design remained pretty influential for a while.
Okay. And for those of us who probably can't get our hands on an original vintage one, were there reissues? Did Vox try to recapture that magic later on?
Yes, they did. Vox has reissued the Clyde McCoy wah in various forms over the years. Some of those reissues came with more modern features, like true bypass wiring already installed, maybe updated potentiometers for reliability. But it's important for listeners to know the most prized versions are still those original Italian-made units, especially the picture wahs.
Makes sense.
And also, several boutique builders, names like Fulltone, RMC, come to mind. They've made clones, specifically aiming to replicate that early Clyde McCoy sound. So its appeal is definitely enduring.
You mentioned that responsiveness, how it really empowered players. And I mean, it's hard to even think about the wah without thinking of Hendrix. Who else really defined its voice early on and helped cement its place in music history?
Yeah, Hendrix is inseparable from the wah sound. While it gets a bit tricky sometimes to pin down exactly who used the specific Clyde McCoy branded pedal versus a slightly later Vox wah with essentially the same circuit.
Because the branding changed so quickly.
Right, but it's clear that many of the huge late 60s wah pioneers were using versions based on this groundbreaking circuit. You instantly think of Jimi Hendrix, of course, his work on Axis, Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland. The wah became like another part of his guitar's voice. Truly iconic.
Absolutely legendary stuff. Who else comes to mind?
Well, Eric Clapton, during his Cream era, used it to amazing effect. Think of a track like White Room that solo just sings with the wah in a way people hadn't quite heard before.
Yeah, instantly recognizable.
Jimmy Page, too, he used wah quite distinctly on some early Led Zeppelin albums, sometimes more subtly, like for texture, not just screaming solos.
Interesting.
You gotta mention Frank Zappa. He was known for his incredibly expressive, sometimes kind of humorous wah, playing with similar era Vox units. These guys, they really defined what the wah pedal could do, pushed its boundaries right from the start. It's kind of incredible, isn't it, how quickly this brand new effect became just indispensable for some of the biggest names in music.
It really is. It speaks volumes about how much guitarists were just craving new ways to express themselves, I guess.
Exactly.
So given all this history, its sound, the association with these legends, I have to assume these original pedals are pretty collectible now.
Oh, absolutely. They really are. Those original Italian-made Clyde McCoy wahs, especially the ones with the picture bottom plate, they are genuinely among the most valuable, most collectible wah pedals out there, period.
Wow.
Highly sought after by vintage gear collectors, sure, but also by players who are just chasing that authentic 60s wah tone. Prices for clean, original examples, they can easily run well into the thousands of dollars.
Yikes. But understandable.
It's a testament to their legacy, right?
Yeah.
You can see why they're so prized. It's not just another pedal. It's a real piece of music history that fundamentally changed how guitars could sound.
Okay, so let's try and bring it all back then. What's the main takeaway, the ultimate significance of this deep dive into the Vox Clyde McCoy wah-wah?
I think, unequivocally, the Vox Clyde McCoy wah-wah represents the birth of the wah pedal as we know it. Simple as that. It popped up in the late 1960s, directly inspired by, believe it or not, a jazz trumpet player's technique.
Still amazing.
But its innovative design, especially that halo inductor and the carefully voiced circuit, that became the fundamental blueprint, the foundation for countless wah designs that came after.
And it still resonates today, clearly, whether you find an original Italian one or maybe a modern reissue or even a clone. The Clyde McCoy name, or at least its sonic legacy, it remains this powerful symbol of the electric guitar's potential for expressive, really vocal-like sounds. It showed the guitar could truly sing.
Which leads us perfectly into a final thought, something for you to maybe chew on. What does this enduring desire, this constant search for a vocal-like quality in instrumental music, a quality first captured electronically by a gadget inspired by a trumpet, then made famous by guitar gods. What does that tell us about our human connection to sound? About how musical expression keeps evolving through technology? Think about how often this pursuit of mimicry, trying to make an instrument sound like something else, like a voice, it doesn't just end up copying. Instead, it often sparks entirely new, completely unexpected forms of artistry that redefine what's even possible.